Hey everybody, Doug here. I just wanted to do a quick video, follow up on previous one about the equipment that I'm using. I've changed a few things, and so I wanted to keep you updated on what I've got going on. So let's actually just dive right in. So I've actually replaced quite a bit of the equipment in this rack. Some of it looks the same, but some of it's actually been changed. So this top unit here, previously I had a Smartview Duo in there for Blackmagic Design, which is just a video monitor, nothing fancy about it. I've since replaced that with the SmartScope Duo 4K, and so I have the capability of doing waveform monitor, vector scope, etc. And also, this supports 6 gig SDI. And so, in my quest to make my rack fully 6 gig compliant, I swapped out the top monitor. I've actually replaced my old SmartView in a separate rack. I decided to keep it instead of selling it, so that I can have another set of monitors that I can use for whatever. So it made a lot of sense to do that. So, but yeah, that gets me closer to being, fully 6 gig compliant. Because that monitor now supports 6 gig. The previous one only supported 3 gig. All right, moving down. Switcher's still the same that I've had. It's the ATEM 1ME Production Studio 4K. This is still working great. 2 thumbs up. Haven't really had any issues with this thing. This has really done well for me. Moving down. I replaced my previous Compact Videohub 40x40, which was previously on the back side of the rack, with the Smart Videohub 40x40. Again, this is to get me closer to compliance with 6 gig. This allows me to route 6 gig Ultra HD video signals. My cameras that I have are 4K. Since the last video, I've actually upgraded all the cameras to 4K at this point. Although I'm not producing in 4K just yet. Blackmagic still hasn't produced a camera converter that supports 4K yet. So when that comes, I'll be 100% ready to do 4K throughout, but in the meantime, I'm making sure that I'm ready for it. So this Smart Videohub is actually one of my favorite Blackmagic projects. I love video routing switchers. It makes reconfiguring the rack so much easier. If you need to change where a signal goes, press the button, choose the destination, press another button, choose which source you want to go to that destination. This is particularly nice because it has the screen in it showing you what is on a particular destination. So if I want to see what's on destination on video output 39, I just press destination and 39 and it routes that signal. Pressing destination again clears the bars from the top and bottom there. So I'm able to view the particular video source full screen. The one thing that I wish it had that it doesn't is it doesn't allow you to select a particular source to monitor. You have to choose a destination. So if you have a video signal that's not routed anywhere, say you're still in the process of getting a camera hooked up and you haven't routed it yet, you're not able to view that on the monitor until you actually route it to a destination. So small little nitpick, not a big deal. But other than that, I have absolutely loved this product. I had one little glitch with it when I first got it. The screen colors went all wonky a couple of times when I powered it on, but I haven't seen it do that since that first day, so I'm hoping that was just a weird behavior during the break-in period. But other than that, this product has actually worked fantastically for me. All right, moving down, I still have the HyperDeck Studio 12 gig as my primary recorder, but I've replaced the one below it, which is previously just the HyperDeck Studio 2, with this is a HyperDeck Studio 2 Pro. So this is the one that has all the additional inputs on it for audio. Say, for example, it has XLR and RCA. It also has some other cool features like a Thunderbolt port if you wanted to capture video or play video back from a computer. I'm not using those particular features, but I am using the RCA inputs on here in order to capture audio from my Intercom system. So from the studio converter. It has RCA output, so I took the outputs the RCA jacks on there and routed that into the RCA inputs on the HyperDeck Studio 2 Pro. That allows me to record the audio from the director and camera operators during a show, so we can later review it and critique each other and hopefully improve what we're doing. So that's a great thing. But the main reason I actually got that, though, was not for that. The main reason I got that is because it supports 6 gig, whereas the Studio Pro 2 does not even support 3 gig. It supports HD SDI and SD SDI only. It will not do a 1080p 60, 1080p, 5994, 1080p 50 signal. This one will record video all the way up to ultra high def at 30 frames per second. So again, another upgrade on the system there as well. That's it as far as the upgrades on the front. I have made some upgrades on the back. Unfortunately, I can't really show them to you at the moment, so I'll just have to describe them. The first thing that I did is since I removed my video hub from the back, I was able to free up a little bit of space there. That allowed me to move the Terranex mini devices that I had in the front to the back, and because I filled in pretty much every space in this rack, heat was beginning to be a bit of a problem. So the other thing I did is I put a one-space fan, actually technically a blower, in this top space. And so now the unit is sucking air from the bottom and exhausting it through the top, which actually keeps everything a lot cooler in here. That particular fan took me a while to find. It's a one-space unit. You don't find a lot of those. It's a high-speed, low volume in terms of sound, not low air volume, unit that's made by Middle Atlantic. I love it, except for the price. It's all plastic, and so I was expecting something that was built really well, and it turns out, yeah, it's just a fairly cheap plastic. But it is extremely quiet. It didn't add any sound, any significant amount of sound to the unit, which is good because all this stuff has fans in it, and it gets to be a little loud. That's why I'm using this microphone instead of shotgun microphone out of shot. The shotgun microphone just picks up too much of the audio coming from the fans in this rack. So that's it for upgrades within the unit itself. One other thing that I've actually done, you pan up to it. So I've built this rack here, this mini rack, for augmenting the communication system, the intercom system. So the studio converter here at the bottom actually has AES audio inputs and outputs on it. No analog input. It does have an RCA output, but it doesn't have any analog input. So if you want to include any audio besides the microphones from your director and your camera operators in the intercom, you're kind of out of luck unless you do something similar to what I've done here. So this particular unit up here, I'm taking that AES audio, converting it to analog using this Behringer UltraMatch Pro unit, setting it to this Denon mixer. This is a DN312X 12-channel audio mixer. I send the audio from the from the Behringer to the Denon. That allows me to mix in program audio. I've got that on channels 11 and 12 here, or additional microphones. And so channel 1 here is coming from the intercom unit itself in my main rack, and these other 5 inputs can actually be other microphones or other sources. Say for example, if I had some people on walkie-talkies and I wanted to include the walkie-talkie audio, I put that on one of the inputs on there. Or if I've got somebody that's helping at the director station and they want to be able to talk, I can input their audio here as well. So I can input sound from a couple other sources there, and once that's been mixed, I do a little bit of equalization on it to make it easier to understand. But once that's all mixed, sent through the master out, back up to the Behringer for conversion from analog back to AES, and then once that's been converted, it's sent back down to the studio converter. So using this, I'm able to do my own controlled mix of the program audio into the headsets for the camera operators. We don't always use that. We don't always like that, but there's a lot of gigs that we do where it's useful to be able to hear what the subject that we're shooting, the presenter, is saying, and so I like to include program audio into the intercom feed, and that allows me to do that. So between those, using those 2 units, I'm able to make that happen. So, but other than that, that's nearly it for upgrades. System, I did add a USB hub inside for doing USB configuration of all the devices that have USB ports on them. So if I ever need to do a firmware upgrade or whatever, I just plug in the USB cable, and that gives me a connection without having to open up the back of this and navigate through the tight cabling and plug the USB in. And they're permanently wired now through a USB hub, so that's why I made that change. But other than that, the rack is otherwise unchanged, and this thing is working great for me. It's been really good. The one issue I still have, and I wish Blackmagic would fix this, I still have dropouts on my HyperDeck recorder. I'm using SSDs that they've recorded and that they've recommended that are on their approved list, and I still have dropouts on them. So I'm not sure what more I can do about that. I'm hoping they'll get that updated. It has gotten better with the latest firmware upgrade, but the problem still exists. I was shooting a show last week, and dropout right in the middle. It's just 1080p 60. You would think a 12 gig recorder with an approved with an SSD approved for uncompressed video would be able to be recorded just fine, but still have dropouts. So Blackmagic, if you're listening, please, please get this issue resolved. This is causing me untold amounts of grief. I have to always make sure that I'm recording on 2 recorders, and then I often have to do something in post in order to mix, in order to switch back and forth between the 2 videos in order to make one complete video. So hopefully you can do something about that. So there we go. So there's your early November update on my video production equipment, and yeah, there you go. Thanks for watching.